This is Chair, place where we discuss innovations. Today we are going to talk about industries that are heavy traditional, such as insurance industry. My guest today is Mladen Subašić. Mladen is currently head of product and innovation in OIP Robotics, a business technology company serving the insurance area. So Mladen started pretty interestingly, right? He graduated as a major of political sciences and started his career as behavior researcher and published studies on topics such as mass behavior, right? So he came a long way in working in the domain that he works today. So Mladen, pleasure to have you here, and I'm very excited about this conversation today.
Thank you for having me.
So before we start with our main subject today, I want to ask you about your career path, since it sounds like a bit like some movie story plot for a Hollywood blockbuster.
It's much more boring than that, I can tell you that. So actually, the Faculty of Political Sciences, a lot of guys are moving to the IT industry straight after college. And a lot of the companies, the largest companies that we have here in Serbia, are actually hiring people from our faculty. And it's interesting why. So a lot of topics that we cover during our education are on methodologies, scientific methods, user research, behaviorism, group behavior, and that's heavily the tech industry can use that, and it's a part of my role today as well. Also, we are working a lot with data, large data sets in order to conduct the research, to understand something, finding patterns and those kind of things. So I think it's not an unusual path. From there, I went to business, actually to brand management. That was kind of a transition. It was a traditional company. It wasn't some kind of a modern tech company, but I learned core business there, and that was really important for me, like markets development, research, cycles, talking to customers, large systems, and those kind of things. And from there, in OIP, the first tech role that I got was in business analysis. So we created software and mapped the business requirements to the software. And that was kind of a natural transition over time. I'm lazy by nature, but lazy in a sense that I don't like redundancy, so I always try to find a shortcut. That's what led me to technology, even during the college studies. And then later, when I started researching the mass behavior and publishing my works, it was much easier for me to use some of the more advanced tech solutions, languages to get to the data, work on the large data sets such as SQL, Python, those kind of things. And when I came to OIP, actually, OIP was knowledge process outsourcing company. And I'll tell that story a bit later, but the whole idea was naturally over the years, and we have been around for 8 years now, there was a need to transform and to offer more of a digital service to our clients, and I was the employee number one in that department. So my job was to find the opportunities where to digitalize and how to help our clients digitalize. And firstly, we built some internal automation projects in our own system, which is a large system in-house that deals with all our operations and processes. And after that, we moved to clients, so it was a kind of a natural progression over time. And once we started working with clients, we started skyrocketing, and we're here now. That's it.
We are going to go back on the industry itself now, and when we talked earlier about our conversation in chair, you told me that even though insurance it's extremely resilient to innovations, it started as innovation at some point, right?
Yeah, insurance as we know it. So we work a lot with the Lloyd's market. Those are the guys, they're the biggest guys in the industry, and over some of the conversations we had over there, I actually got an opportunity to ask people what is Lloyd's, because it's a really interesting company. So they started explaining how actually insurance originated over there, and it was a coffee shop in the beginning. So when the coffee started getting into England, a guy whose surname is Lloyd's, that was the coffee shop. And over time, some of the smart guys over there were thinking about, a lot of ships started moving across the ocean, so they started betting. Actually, it's not a betting, but it's a limited betting system where the captains they were chasing them around the Thames, getting them to the coffee shop and telling, hey, do you want to split the risk? Right, I'll pay for your loss if you can come back. If you don't come back, but you will actually get the parts of the profit once you sell everything. So it actually started like that. So it's kind of business model innovation in its origins, like 15th century. So the industry itself is traditional, but the way that they are thinking is highly adaptive, especially as of recently. So.
Yeah, I wanna talk what is going on now, because we can see last 20 years or so that your insurance tech is going from low to high tech. What happened?
Everything. Insurance is a really fun industry. It sounds boring when you tell people. Like I work in insurance in the US,
Yeah,
it's almost like
accounting,
a job. Yeah. But actually, the adjacent industries that are working around insurance and the insurance is supporting all those industries, those are like all the industries in the world. You have insurance for everything, mandatory insurance. Whenever you're moving in the West world, you're actually moving through some kind of insurance, right? Trip, you're in a trip and fall. House, where you live, that's covered by property insurance. You lose your business due to COVID, you're covered by business income loss. So those kind of things that's why insurance had a lot of potential, but it is a very traditional industry. The way that they are generating their money is different. So over time, they kept it kind of, closed up.
Closed club.
But when the clients started changing, the industry started changing as well. The first one, it's always that first one who disrupts. So Lemonade was one of the first ones that kind of changed the game. So if somebody tells you, hey, you have an insurance loss and I'll settle it in 3 minutes, and everybody else needs a month, so it kind of changes the game. Technology is also matured over time. There is that generation transition, right? When the guys who are actually handling the digital portions of organizations in insurance were kind of younger guys who knew the technologies. So now the adoption is much faster. And once it started, it got crazy because insurance is old and it has a lot of money in it. So naturally, whoever had a piece of tech with them was like, okay, I can do this for insurance, right? So in some of the conventions we were visiting, there were actually guys with the backpacks, chasing people around. Hey, can you see my tech? Can this be done in insurance? They didn't even know whether it can be implemented. They're just like, okay, listen, I know you need data, guys. I have a great data product. We were pitched by guys who actually have a replica of Google Drive. They were like pitching the same features as Google Drive. And we're like, that's Google. No, this is different. You can use it in insurance. But on the other end, the biggest corporations in the world are actually working with insurance now. The most innovative products out there are connecting themselves with insurance. Like BMW is releasing insurance built into the cars. Visa is actually now, whenever you make a purchase somewhere in Singapore, you have an option to immediately buy insurance for a product and those kind of things. So geospatial data, big data, artificial intelligence, Internet of Things, all of those are now trying to find their use cases in the insurance industry. So now it's a vibrant insurtech community around the world. And our company started early enough, so we were fortunate enough to actually earn the trust of our clients early in the game.
Your job is basically to innovate. And what are your biggest challenges right now?
Yeah, as you said, the traditional industries are a bit more, it's different than other industries when it comes to innovation, right? Let's say you have an idea, right? You talk to a couple of your friends, you test it, and then you go through the entire design thinking, lean process, and it all makes sense. However, in enterprise, you have to hit so many check boxes in order to get in a position to even place the product somewhere or offer it or somebody to see it. What's challenging is fail early. Let's say you cannot fail early. If you come to a company and say, hey guys, we're now going to try this and fail early, they're going to say, why would you fail? I don't want you to fail. I just want this to see it.
Not with my money, right?
Yeah, not with my money. So that's one of the challenges. The other challenge is you really need to be intimate with your customers. You really need to understand their needs, but not just what they're saying, but you need to understand the strategic movements. You need to understand how is market behaving, the problems they have. We are investing a lot of effort to talk to our clients. Our success teams are with them, talking to them about potential problems, challenges. Even on the outsourcing side of the business, we're always trying to talk to them, find a better way to do something differently. So the biggest challenge there is actually to move and to place the innovative products along the lines where your clients are moving, because you're not actually innovating like you always think when you're saying innovation, oh, I'm going to change, I'm going to disrupt, I'm going to, no. You actually need to make your clients better and measurably better at what they do and early. So that's the biggest challenge. Yeah, and they're always thinking in bottom line terms. So it's like, where's the profit? Where is the cash? Where are the people who are actually buying this? How are we going to be better for our clients? How fast are we going to get this? What are we actually getting? So you need to answer all those questions while you're actually building a service or a product in order to be in a position to even pitch to them or even to test the market. So that's kind of what we are focusing on whenever we are thinking about something, and we think a lot about a lot of stuff. Yeah. So that would be the biggest challenge, I think.
I want to go back to your company and how you guys approach innovation. Are there any frameworks that are like industry related, or you do some other stuff? I want to share me some glimpse of your process.
Okay, yeah. So actually, personally, I like frameworks because the framework is stringent enough to give you the guardrails and everything you need, but you need to fill it in with the actual ideas and content and everything that is needed there. So our company actually started as innovative approach, right? So the outsourcing, you think a lot of people transcribing some data. Our owners that came from US had an idea to actually build the entire insurance academy, right? For people here in Serbia who are actually going through that. And then once they go through that, they're insurance professionals, not just people who are, supporting business. So that was an innovative idea and it gained traction very fast. We are growing still very fast.
How big is the company right now?
Here in Serbia, more than 600 employees at this moment. Yeah, in 2 places. So how it actually worked? It's like we are continuously exploring what is the next thing, right? When you're growing and when you have an established business model, you have a tendency not to look back, right? You are just looking at your the core accounting metrics are there, everything is moving, everything is growing, we are growing steadily, but what we are doing here and what we continue doing through our digital part of the business, the OIP Robotics, is constantly actually taking snapshots of where we are. So our innovative process is very people-driven, so we are looking at big ideas, but we are narrowing it down to actually what would make sense for our clients. So it's actually, when you look at it, you come from 2 ends. You come from what clients need, and then you come from good people, good culture, who are actually providing you with ideas, and then we are filtering them through. It's a pretty step-by-step process, and you have a lot of filters in it. One of them is each idea, before it comes to fruition, it needs to have its own business case. Of course, in a lean manner, but it needs to show how it's going to stay relevant. Why is it important? Is there that hair on fire need for it? Why would the client benefit from it? Is it going to stay relevant in 5 years? The big companies, they like to find 2 or 3 people who are working with 2 or 3 products. So why are you the product that they will be relying on in the next 10 years? So our process is, relying on people, relying on insurance experts, and the great guys from the technology side who are actually thinking about how to solve business problems.
You mentioned that you love frameworks. Can you give me some of the examples that you use?
Oh yeah. So if I can go by the book and say, we are lean, we are going with design sprints, design thinking, those kind of things. But agile fluency is something that we found out that was really interesting for us recently. So each team actually has its own business model. We have several value streams, and each team is actually at the stage where they're innovating and creating value based on what the product or client needs. So we don't have to put a lot of, a lot of processes, a lot of workshops, and if it's not fitting the purpose, right? If we need 2 steps to get to where the client wants us, we're not going to take 10. We always try to put the lighter moments somewhere in there. So whatever we are building, what is a must? It needs to perform well, but we're always trying to find a way where a client actually is satisfied. But if that's like 3 steps from here, we don't go 20 steps. We just take those 3 steps, it's good enough, it works for our client, everybody's happy. And you are always looking at, what are you focusing on? What do you want to deliver? What do you want to strengthen? Which part of your business? What are you optimizing at this moment? And that way you keep, balancing out, the research, the development, the innovations, everything kind of comes into place. So that was interesting for us.
I always like to ask about the vision, about where is industry going. I myself, I'm not in the insurance industry. The insurance tech something that's completely new to me. And when we first time talked, I was like, okay, how I'm going to structure this episode. But basically, when we talk about innovations, everything come together, right? And since you are there on the front line of this industry, how you see the next things that are coming? What is going to be in the next few years?
No, data. So, right, the insurance is very simple. I take a part of your risk, but I want to know everything about you, right, and what you do, because I'm going to put a price tag on how much risk I will take, and that's really important that we have a fair bargain, right? So data is at the it's a centerpiece of everything, and they're saying data is all oil today, but oil is getting old, right? Yeah. They're forbidding in the European Union, and then the electrical vehicles and everything. So, but the data needs to be kind of worked on. It needs to become a fact, an insight, and they want as much data as possible, and then tools to help them actually use that data. So it's now it's the connectivity, right? So connected cars, connected health, people, connected homes, everything needs to be real time now in 3 seconds. It needs to be, let's say, if you have a car crash, they want to know in 3 minutes. So those kind of things are where the industry will be going. It's getting more and more difficult with the epidemics and like these kind of black swan events to predict anything. They need a lot of data to predict. So the insurance will be relying on the customer data mostly, right? If you want to do a frontline, if you want to help the client get to you faster, then you want to have the data on the customers. What do they want? How do they want? If you want to predict how risky they will be, you need the data on their business. You need the data on their home. So insurance will be moving towards anything in order to kind of mitigate the risk for the client, even purchasing devices for them. Like you get an insurance policy and they will give you a device which will be hooked onto your plumbing and telling at every moment what's the pressure, and you know that you're going to have a flood, but the insurance company also knows that they will have a flood. So it's kind of a good value transition between all actors in the party, and it's all going to be around data.
I want to go back to the beginning and your career, because I saw that you write some papers on mass behavior, and I'm a big reader, and I want to ask you in that particular area. This doesn't have anything to do with the insurance tech and everything, but can you recommend me and our viewers some book?
Nudge. It actually mentions insurance. So the book is actually by Richard Thaler, and it's a behavioral economics book. So what it does is actually connecting how are users perceiving value, what makes them move, how to actually nudge them towards moving. So not actually direct them, but actually nudge them towards making the right decision, and in an ethical way. Which is, I always miss that note of an ethical. They are trying to put, I'm nudging you ethically, but...
You need to check our first episode. We talked about the ethics of innovation. Interesting to you.
Yeah, this is more of a darker craft, right? Nudging people towards doing something that part of the engineering, but that book is definitely something that's worth reading.
Okay, it was a great pleasure to have you here today. I enjoyed so much this conversation. It was very packed and very full of information, and I'm sure that our viewers are going to like it. And if you loved today's episode, subscribe and see you next Thursday. And thank you again.
Thank you.